Hey guys, it's been over 7 months since I've done a live. It's time that I come back because there's been just way too much being said online that is just so far from the truth.
Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a little recap and update of one of my most popular deep dive videos that I have done in the past few years. Last July I did a video on Dre McCray, or rather the downfall of Dre McCray, a social media influencer of sorts named Andrea McCray. She's best known for her page on Facebook called Slay with Dre, where she does live streams and posts content about not only her family, but mainly where she puts on makeup, and she's actually quite talented at makeup. Now, she landed on my radar because she was in, or is still currently in, the pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing company, network marketing company by the name of Paparazzi. They sell $5 jewelry that is absolutely, in my opinion, hideous and allegedly covered in lead. I had done, I believe it was 2 videos about her regarding her being in paparazzi and the cultiness of her team calls that she would have, and you gotta watch those videos. It's truly unhinged and just crazy. I will have that deep dive video and those other 2 videos linked down below, and then up in the little icon up there, a little eye, you'll see it, that'll drop down. You can watch all those if you would like. Now, I had done those videos and she popped onto my radar, and I want to say about a year ago, actually, in February of 2022. And then in either June or July, I posted my deep dive video in July. She had been acting weird on social media and kind of really not posting as much as she usually did. People took notice of that, and then she started saying certain things like her husband's in the hospital and all about how he had an injury or something, or he was, severely hurt, or he had an accident. And that's not necessarily untrue because there was a accident. I don't know if you would technically consider that an accident. But then she did a live stream about it, explaining that her husband had a traumatic brain injury or brain damage, something along those lines. Those are 2 different things, very different. And then it came out that he actually, trigger warning, that he had attempted to unalive himself. And I say attempted because that is the correct verbiage there. However, he was successful at it. He had to be resuscitated after allegedly quite a lot of life-saving techniques and measures by not only allegedly his wife, Andrea McCray, but then also first responders as well. Now, as you can imagine, when anything happens, someone goes missing, there's a murder, whenever anything like that is happening in real time, the internet goes crazy and can really help, but also really hurt the situation. And there can be a lot of false information out there, the sensationalization of it all. And with this, it was absolutely out of control, especially because there was not evidence of an actual crime taking place. But a lot of people thought so and decided to make wild accusations and really just take things way too far, and it got so out of hand. Now, Dre herself didn't really help with all of that, especially because she went viral on TikTok for doing live streams in front of her husband, like as he's on life support, on like a ventilator and all that. And she was like spitting on his head and like rubbing, like when you're not supposed to touch him, and like rubbing her saliva on his head, saying that like their DNA is speaking to each other. She's a loon. And then also proceeding to sell her pyramid scheme jewelry, again, with him in the background of those videos. I understand you gotta pay medical bills. I get it. You're the only one who works in the family, but it's also like you're exploiting your husband who's on life support, or in a vegetative state rather. And you're exploiting that situation to get more money so that of course you can pay for all this. But it was just, the whole situation was gross. The whole aspect of that was really disgusting. And that's really how she got on everyone else's radar, it seems. It was due to how she was handling all of that and really like the inconsistencies of all of it. It was pretty crazy. As I said, the sensationalization of the entire case or situation, I'm just going to call it a situation because it's not a case, was truly wild due to, in my opinion, other content creators not handling it correctly and not presenting information in a professional and logical way, if you will. And again, that's all just my own opinion. People were taking it way too far. People were demanding answers from investigators. People were bombarding CPS making accusations that she unalived her husband, that there was domestic violence in the household, that there was child abuse in the household, that she tampered with evidence. It was wild. And speaking of evidence, no one had any evidence of anything to back up any of those claims. And it wasn't just the viewers making those claims. It was a couple content creators as well, which is super disgusting. So not only is that gross, but during all of this, especially in the fall, there was so much infighting between certain creators. It was wild, and probably the aspect of this whole situation, or case, if you will, that was truly, I don't even want to say entertaining, but just unhinged is what I'll say. Now, of course, like I said, you should probably, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, you should go watch my deep dive on that. I have been told, and I'm not trying to put myself up on a pedestal or toot my own horn, but toot toot, I think that I handled it and presented the information very respectfully and logically, as I try to on my channel. I did call Jehovah's Witness a cult, which I do stand by that. It does check all the boxes for being a cult. You can say it's not. That's okay. It's not really a difference of opinion. It's a difference of reality there. And then also a lot of people were not happy that I said that Dr. Sebi was a fraud, was a fraud. But that's okay. Again, differences of opinions, whatever. So I focused a lot on that in my video. Not only Jehovah's Witness, the whole Dr. Sebi alkalized diet that really has just like that. It has its own cult aspect to it. And then also the multi-level marketing company Paparazzi, and how like that has a whole nother cult aspect to it too. And really the like downfall of Dre McCray, and what I think led her to transform into the person that was spitting on her husband's head in the ER and making wild medical claims on Facebook live streams at 3 a.m. She said that biscuits dehydrate your heart. Now, I know Cracker Barrel biscuits and gravy do a number on your body. You know it too. You're pooping before you leave the restaurant for sure if you eat those, but I don't think they suck the water out of your heart like she said. Truly insane. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the crazy medical claims that she would make. It was very, very dangerous, the things that she would say. Now, I am very much so of the belief that commentary content creators can make a video on a certain public figure or on a certain topic that maybe isn't favorable towards or regarding that specific individual, while still, wishing the best for them and not being, jealous or a hater, or, just presenting logical and factual information, and at times using that person's own words against them. That's typically my favorite way to go. And also presenting your own opinion while stating that it is just your opinion for legal purposes. Obviously, you can do all that while still wishing nothing but the best for the subject of that video. Simply put, you can present logical information and create that type of content, or this type of content, and not be a dick. Whoa, you good? Now, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have been the case for other content creators that covered this situation, and Von McCray and Dre McCray. I'm not saying all of them. There are some that did cover it in a good way and in a logical way. But having said that, there are some that got way too close, especially to the family members and to the people involved directly. For instance, Molly Go Lightly, a content creator here on YouTube, and I guess technically on Facebook as well, but mainly on YouTube, created some type of relationship with Von McCray's birth mother. He was raised by his grandmother primarily, so his birth mother. And they allegedly took donations from their viewers, created a GoFundMe or a Cash App or something, which a Cash App in itself, in my mind, is sketchy. That's just my opinion though. But apparently it was real sketchy and they were scamming people. I don't know that to be the exact truth, but it's weird.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I'm getting a lot of messages posted on my YouTube videos saying that they're glad that I'm happy that they are investigating Letitia and I. So that's very interesting, and I am glad that they're doing that. Last time we talked to Letitia, which was the day that I left Chicago. So I'd say that was like, what, the day before? Tuesday. Yeah, day before yesterday. Tuesday. Said, we told her about it, and we said, hey, have you heard anything about, Savannah Police? Have they contacted you? And she said, oh my God, no, what happened? And you're like, oh no, we were just wondering because somebody with the Savannah Police Department filed a complaint. Okay, well, she said she never heard anything about it. You would think by now that they would have called since Monday. Supposedly it's about some pregnant woman who wants her money back. I thought that everyone that asked for a refund got it. And then I said, don't refund people because it's a donation. And I'm completely right. And then I said, don't refund people because it's a donation. And I'm completely right. So for me saying don't refund people, it's a donation. I actually stick to that. So if that implicates me, that's absolutely fine. Hershey police know where I'm at all the time. All the time. I'm glad that this is going to happen, although I have to say that all these numbers that are being thrown around that Letitia made, I sincerely doubt 40,000, and I most certainly doubt 80,000. We just got a bunch of really weird, crazy people acting up, and to be quite honest, when I woke up, the first thing I thought of was Marvin and how he was doing. And I'm wondering, am I the only person that's sitting around wondering how he's doing? And it's a little bothersome because, you know, this bullshit about me and Letitia being in on some sort of game is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm hoping that someone's reaching out to me and coming to the house. I prefer they come to the house than just call me, but Hershey police think it's easier to call. I would rather them just come to the house and talk to me if this is like a real thing. I'll hand over my bank account statements. I'll hand over my phone, and they can take it for a while. But until then, right now, I feel like everything is... I feel like at this point, nobody really gives a shit about this guy. I really do. Nobody gives a shit about these poor kids. They just care about sticking it to Letitia and trying to prove me wrong. And do you want to know something? That's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. Just because you see people trying to help other people that aren't as strong enough to help themselves, it doesn't make anyone a bad person. So anyone there that's saying, oh yeah, it's totally a scam, totally just such a criminal. Look, you better really honestly be sure that you know what you're talking about, because that's not okay. Like, you can't just go around doing that and think that there's no repercussions of any sort, because there will be. And I've actually know firsthand. I've seen it. I know it.
Was real weird, and apparently they were trying to hire a lawyer for Vaughn's mom so that she could actually see Vaughn, because apparently Dre was not letting that happen.
Was like, I'm here, I want to see my son. I let her that day. Later on, she was, I guess, on live on Facebook and never mentioned the fact that she's seen Vaughn. I told her that, you know, I don't remember our text messages, but we have them, and I'm going to post them. So you guys are going to see the screenshots of the communication that I have made with her. And you're going to see that this was not coordinated by no lawyer, honey. She lied so that you guys can hate me. That was the purpose. She lied so that you guys could feel pity. Poor me, poor mommy. She's not letting me do this. She's not letting me do that. I need money. I need GoFundMe. She said she was going to try to take away my son. She said she was going to contact APS and get me away from my husband. It's crazy how much the Vaughn's assets was brought in. I'm like, why? How could you, as someone who claims to love this person, want to talk about his belongings while he's fighting for his life? What is that? That's sickening. That's sickening. It really is. The last thing on my mind is thinking about the truck, the RV, the house, all of our belongings. What? The hat. I love it. You know? And so where's the court document? Why haven't I been contacted by a lawyer? She's met Vaughn or Raza once too. That's what's also sad, is that I just had a memory just the other day. It was a memory of me and Vaughn's siblings. We took a picture in her house, and she didn't have no couches at that time. We sat on the floor, and she picked him up, and so did Vaughn's sister, and picked him up. But she didn't spend much time with him, because eventually she went to her room and stayed in there, and then eventually left to go to work, and then never made plans to see him again. Never made plans. This was when Raza was a baby, whenever he was in a car seat. Another thing that is like sad and hurtful is the lie that great grandma has dementia. That is like, oh, I could not believe that was put out there. It's like, no, she doesn't. She has a good memory. She has a vivid memory. And why would you want that? I feel like you need to be careful what you speak on about anything. That's just my personal beliefs. You don't want...
In general, Molly Golightly's coverage of the entire situation was not professional, unhinged, not in good taste, and borderline exploitative, if not full-blown exploitative, especially, or exploitative, however you want to pronounce that, especially because she would do consistent and seemingly constant live streams regarding it, even when there were no updates to be had. Some of the things that she would say on her live streams, and really just with her content in general, the screaming, the just lack of professionalism, it's wild. I get like being passionate about something, but that's not passionate. That's something else. Again, I don't know if there is truth to the scamming allegations. I have stayed far away from that creator, at least tried to. And then another person I try to stay away from is Katie Joy, also known as Without a Crystal Ball. In my opinion, she's unprofessional, unhinged, egotistical, lazy, and just a hypocrite. You can like her content, you can enjoy her content, that's fine. No worries there, buddy. And you might be like, well, Chelsea, you're making an update. You made a full video on Dre McCray. Yes, I absolutely did. Absolutely, I did. But you can clearly see the difference between my videos on this subject, and then their constant infighting and just, in my opinion, exploitative type of coverage on this.
She called Andrea a murderer with us there. Dude, you cannot be saying that. We don't know if he was really hung. We don't know if she intentionally put him in a coma. There could have been some sort of accident. We have no idea. 1 second. How about we put that on hold? All right. So without a crystal ball 2 hours ago is, all right, now without a crystal ball, now you're fucking pissing me the fuck off. All right. Here she is. Today Without a Crystal Ball has spent hours helping multiple family members of Von McCray and the kids.
Yeah, I got that email.
Okay. So due to the sensitivity of the situation and rampant rumors, you started them. Letitia Bias has retained a lawyer. Oh, is that what you found out? Okay. All right. You started the rumors. Letitia Bias has retained a lawyer. Oh, is that what you found out? All right. Now, you don't like that I fucking called your ass. Without a crystal ball, you really are exactly what people have said that you are. You're going to sit there and try and make me look like a liar after I had Hershey police in my house looking like a lowlife? How dare you? How dare you?
Especially when there were no updates. Wild. I even said I was not going to do another video on it or another update on it until there was one. And until now, there hasn't been one. Now, Katie and Molly Golightly harassed each other and just went back and forth. And like I said, the infighting was wild. Absolutely wild. Borderline entertaining. Truly unhinged. But above all else, it was embarrassing. And if you do remember in my Dre McCray deep dive, at the very end, I did talk about, media sensationalization of these types of things, when it comes to like true crime and all that. Again, there wasn't not a crime committed, but I did call them both out by name for how they were covering the situation and how they were acting, because it was just completely uncalled for, in my opinion. I would be absolutely delighted if I never had to speak to or speak about either of those individuals ever again. Ever again would be too soon. Okay, now that we're all caught up with how ridiculous this entire thing has been, let's go ahead and get to the actual update with Dre. And it's the update that Dre McCray gave herself. Now, we do know by now that Dre McCray is not a very reliable narrator, but that's the update that we have. Now, according to Dre McCray's own words, within the first few months of her husband's accident, she was moving him from medical facility to medical facility, doing what she thought was best for him and for his situation. Again, from her own words, and in my opinion, she was refusing to listen to what each medical team said. It seems like, I could be wrong, don't sue me, but it does seem like from what she was saying and from what I can recall and what I collected from that, is that most of like the medical teams and medical professionals at each of these places was saying he's not going to recover, or obviously they would say that in like medical terms and they would use protective language, as they always do. But saying that the chances of him actually fully recovering were slim to none, because of course they can't say like, no, absolutely not. But with that type of situation, it's not most likely not going to happen. And that's obviously heartbreaking that he would have to have 24/7 medical care for the rest of his life, and that he would have little to no quality of life. And I don't want to say urging her to pull the plug, but kind of guiding her towards, or like at least giving her that option. And I don't even want to imagine how, especially with 3 children, how hard that decision would be to make. My husband and I have had those discussions. I feel like every couple should. And if you're not in a couple, you should like talk to your family about, those types of things. For instance, we both have living wills, and they both say like, try all you can, but like at some point you just gotta, Again, I'm not her, and everyone handles those situations differently, and that you don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. Now, according to multiple sources, Dre McCray has allegedly been cleared of any wrongdoing. All investigations have been closed with local law enforcement and with CPS as well. And Dre did stop posting to social media for quite some time. I want to say it was like probably a month after it was probably in like August when she stopped posting to social media, August or September. That my timeline's a little bit fuzzy there, but she stopped posting to social media. And I think she maybe was posting to like her like members only or like subscribers only type of like paid thing on Facebook, but publicly she stopped posting, which is very unlike her, especially with the frequency of how often she did live streams and posted and gave life updates and all that. And that was until this past week when she made her return to social media live streams in general, doing one on Facebook, TikTok. I think it was on Instagram as well. I'm blocked, so I wouldn't know. And thousands of people and thousands of viewers on each platform showed up. I mean, in droves, anxiously waiting for an update on where she's been, what's happening, all that. Now, this was a very long-winded 2-hour live stream that I did watch in its entirety, sped up, thank God. But the meat and potatoes of it is, but she did say that Vaughn, her husband, is now in a long-term care facility. So kind of like assisted living, but for anyone, and obviously like more medical. Did I really just have to explain that? Probably not. But I'm sure there's probably someone who's like, what's a long-term care facility? And that he is being cared for, and that it's about $11,000 a month. And you might be thinking, damn, that's a lot of money. Is she over-exaggerating? She's probably lying, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, for a good facility, that's not bad at all. Like I'd say that's pretty average for like good care, especially in the US. I mean, knowing other countries and how awful our medical and insurance and all that is, and healthcare, in other countries it's probably free. Who knows? Cries in America. Dre also did try to debunk some of the things that people were saying, some of the, accusations that she saw in the comments, or, just haters in general. I say haters because there were some like awful things that people were saying, but then there were like some, just like general and valid questions that people were asking too. Now, of course, there were people asking, about his family, Vaughn's mom, anything like that. And I think it is important to understand, we on social media and with public figures or whoever, we don't know them. We don't see what goes on behind the scenes. We don't, as much as we see and as much as, the parasocial relationship works and all that, we don't know the whole truth. And sure, you can take one person's retelling or one person's story, whatever, of, their relationship with her, and you can take hers as well. But it's really important to understand that we don't have all the information. And that's not me siding with her or anything like that. I do think the girl's completely unhinged. I do think the woman is completely unhinged. But I also think that we need to be logical and understand that, okay, we don't know the dynamics, and we don't know who's being honest and who isn't. So keep that in mind. Also, there were people who, I thought this was just insane, but people who were like, go get a normal job, go get a real job. If it pays your bills, it's a real job. That comes from someone who does YouTube full time. It's a real job. Might not be traditional, but it's a real job. So people are telling her to go get a traditional job, go get a 9-to-5. And I do agree with her in the fact that how she responded, she's like, what 9-to-5 is going to pay me $11K a month? Because that's real. Come on. I don't know much about her, experience and her work history, but arguably she's been making money on the internet for 8 years, 10 years. I think it's like 8 years or something like that. So come on. How is she going to get a job that's going to pay her over $11,000 a month? And that $11,000 is just the medical care facility, not even like her own expenses and her 3 kids' expenses. So, or her business expenses. I say business because it's, yes, working online is real, being an influencer is real, and yes, you do have expenses, but I was saying that for the pyramid scheme. And I don't doubt that she makes or has made previously a lot of money by live streaming on Facebook. Many people might not know, but Facebook Meta, but Facebook in general, but Facebook specifically, compared to all the other social media platforms, has some of the best payout when it comes to the monetization aspect. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that it's dead, but it's not. And then also Snapchat does too. Snapchat pays out, I believe, 100%, which is wild and unheard of. So with how frequently she was going live, with the length of her live streams, they were so long. And then also with the engagement rate, which was pretty good, she was probably making a good amount of money prior to, all of this, and back when she was more consistent at the beginning and middle of the year last year. And I don't doubt that social media has been more consistently her primary source of income, or at least one of them, because yes, she is in the network marketing company pyramid scheme Paparazzi, and from what she has even said and what some of her downline previously had said, or alleged, if you will, I'm not stating this as a fact, that she was making anywhere from like 10K a month to 20K a month from the multi-level marketing company. That is not average at all. Most people in multi-level marketing companies, the average profit in MLMs is actually $0. So please keep that in mind. And you are not going to make that type of money unless you have hundreds of people recruited below you, and it's extremely unethical. Feel free to watch any of my other content about that. Please do not fall for a scam like that. Please be smart. You're smarter than that. Don't do that. Be smart. So I personally do believe that there's a 0% chance, like I said, that in a traditional job or any other type of job, she'd be able to make, other than like OnlyFans, that she'd be able to make that much money and cover her expenses that she needs, especially the $11K for the long-term care facility. So I don't think it's necessarily right or, justified for people to try to use that against her. I also do not obviously and don't agree with multi-level marketing companies, and she still is actively in paparazzi, still shilling that crappy jewelry, and it's so hideous. But she's still in it, still making money from it, and I think that truly does show, she hasn't really been on social media at all for like 6 months, yet she's still in it, still remaining active, still making a good allegedly amount of money from it. So I feel like that in itself is like, okay, it's clearly just from her downline, which is unfortunate. And I hope she hasn't been manipulating her downline into like selling more or like sad fishing them or guilt tripping them due to her current situation, because that would be really messed up. I do feel like that's probably happening though. So like I said, I don't agree with nearly anything she says. About 90% of the things that she says, probably more than that, actually, probably like 98% of the things that she says. And the misinformation she spreads on her live streams and the medical misinformation, the dangerous medical information that she spreads. But I do understand her coming back to social media, since that is her source of income and that is her way to take care of her family. That would be like if something awful happened in my family and someone was like, you shouldn't have come back, or if people were trying to like fight me on that or give me criticism regarding that. But it's like, this is my job. What do you want me to do? Get another job that doesn't pay as well and struggle more? No. It does seem like since she has made her return to social media and with these live streams that she is doing a little bit of sad fishing, which is playing the victim in order to manipulate people to, do what you want, and even possibly exploiting her husband's current situation. Now, that could just be her, sharing her life and what's going on right now, because that's what she would normally talk about anyways in live streams while she's doing her makeup. So I would have to see the frequency to which she does talk about that and bring it up. So yeah, we'd have to like see how often she does that, because there is a clear difference between exploiting that and then also just like mentioning it here and there and like, yes, it is a big part of your life. Okay. Just like, for instance, when people, share their family or their kids on social media, there's a difference between exploiting it and then there's a difference between sharing it. Like there is a fine line. So we'll just have to see how often she's doing it. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that she will be exploiting it and sad fishing and guilt tripping and things like that, unfortunately. Now, since I made my deep dive video in July of last year regarding this whole situation, I have received so many comments and DMs asking what's the update on this, and people, I don't want to say demanding an answer or demanding an update, but some of them were. And as we already said, with situations like this and when there is something like this that happens in real time, it really does captivate the internet. And a lot of times you can feel like it's happening to you, and we can get kind of obsessed with it and look forward to updates and feel like we're helping or trying to spread the word about it or something like that. And I think it's really easy to get wrapped up in it and really desensitized to the fact that, hey, this is happening in real time, this is an ongoing situation, and these are real people, and it also has nothing to do with you. So my answer to what's the update on this has always been, there isn't one. And if there was one, you're not entitled to it. The only people who are entitled to updates on these things are the family members and like the people actually involved. But again, with the internet, it can be a very powerful thing, a very great thing, but also it can lead us to be desensitized and feel too close to something and connected to something that has nothing to do with us. And of course, call me a hypocrite all you want, because it's like, girl, you're making content about this. I get it. But when I turn off my camera, I don't want to say I don't care. I wish everyone the best, but that's it. And I might do research here and there, sure, but this is also my job. It's not consuming me. I'm not demanding answers from people. Or meddling in open and active investigations and cases, or accusing people of crimes without using protective language and without any evidence to back up those accusations. And realistically, the only reason I even did this video is because Dre McCray herself made an update. And I know there are a lot of people who are like, I don't want to give her views, or maybe forgot about the situation, or would just rather get an update from another creator rather than like sitting through a 2-hour live stream. Now, you can disagree with what Dre McCray does for work. I know I sure do. You can think that a lot of her beliefs are completely delusional. I sure do. Or even disagree with her decision to not pull the plug. But please, for the love of whatever God you do or don't believe in, and this is coming from someone who is clearly not a fan of the subject of this video, put yourself in her shoes. And I know that may be hard, but please try to have some empathy. Just please try to do that before you make ridiculous accusations safely behind a computer screen. I like to play devil's advocate. I try to see both sides, all sides really, and be more logical in my approach to the subjects of my videos. And again, we don't know the full story of anything. We haven't been there with her in the hospital. We're not hearing things from the doctors, obviously, because of, HIPAA. And also other people coming forward, her husband's birth mother, or even Dre McCray herself, may not be reliable sources. And other anonymous sources that other commentary creators have pulled out of their back pocket or their butt may not be reliable either. They could just be completely made up. Who knows? I don't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that with this update, please don't be a dick. Just please don't be a dick. It's really not that hard to not be a dick. You can share your opinion without being rude or, accusing someone of attempting homicide without any fact to back that up. So there is your update on not only Dre McCray and her husband in that entire situation, but also little updates on the other commentary content creators who covered that situation very poorly, in my opinion. And I am very excited to never have to speak about this ever again.